The biggest transformation I ever had was when I was about 15 years old. And I know that's a time when like our bodies change a lot, but it wasn't just like typical puberty, because puberty for me was just like having my period and armpit hair in a full bush by 12 and like no boobs ever. This is like mostly padding. So I'm not talking about puberty, but around the age of 14, I did notice that like I was starting to get like my womanly figure, my curves. My mom has sort of like an hourglass shape. And so I noticed I was kind of like starting to get that, except mine was coming in just one side at a time. So it started on my left. Like on my left, if I like stood in the mirror like this, which I did a lot in my underwear, like I had like a womanly curve. But on my right side, it was still like a straight child's body. But I was like, okay, well, it's just coming one side at a time, and like, great, at least I have like a figure, okay, thank God. I'll be a woman someday. And that summer, I pointed out to my mom, I was like wearing a bikini, I was like, Mom, look, like my womanly curves are coming, the left's in, you're just waiting for the right one. And my mom knows that's not how bodies work. She was like, no, that's bad. And she took me to the doctor, and he was like, no, you don't have a figure. You have a very severe case of scoliosis. Oops. So we went to a specialist who like pulled up an x-ray of my like twisted spine. It was like, my spine was basically like straight, and then like it was like a U-pipe on its side. It just like straight up like this, like the letter C. And it was like twisting and pressing into my lungs a little. It was like a mess. But the worst part was this man looks at this and he turns to 14-year-old me and tells me the worst thing I could hear. He was like, you're going to have to wear a back brace. And I was like, I remember being like, okay, Laura, it's not like you have cancer. It's so much worse because at least cancer kills you. I'm going to have to live with this humiliation forever. Like, this is it. I'm done. Because a back brace doesn't heal scoliosis. It just stops it. So it's just like this will be frozen in time forever. So I was like, my Abercrombie & Fitch shirts aren't going to fit over my back brace. And Abercrombie & Fitch doesn't even make clothes for girls with back braces. Like, I might as well be dead. So I was devastated. But luckily, eventually my mom took me to another doctor just to get a second opinion. And this guy looked at my x-ray and was like, oh, a back brace isn't going to do you any good. You're going to have a massive surgery where we're going to like slice you open from the side. We're going to fuse a rod like with 4 big screws into your spine to straighten it out. We're going to remove a rib. We chop that up, and we use that to make like a bone paste, and we fill that in between the vertebra that we've like newly straightened. And I was so happy. I walked on air out of the doctor's office because I was like, oh my God, like, I don't have to wear a back brace. I'm going to get a new body. I'm going to get a straightened back. I have this like stumpy, crooked torso. And I was like, I'm probably going to get like 3 or 4 inches taller. Like, you know, if you go from this to this, like you're taller. I'm going to have like a long torso. Modeling is now an option for me. I'm going to be, like, scoliosis isn't a curse now. It's an opportunity to be a hot person, which I heretofore had never been. I've just been, like, a stick figure, like, that's, like, been snapped in half with a bush, who's never kissed a boy and, like, I thought never would. So I was, like, the world was opening up for me. So we set a date for my spinal fusion. It was going to happen the summer between freshman and sophomore year of high school. And with my friends, it was like the most extraordinary thing that had ever happened to me. And I was like a minor celebrity to my friends, and they were like, oh my God, like, we'll visit you in the hospital, like, and they like got me cards, and like my best friend made me a CD mix with all songs that had the word back in them. So it was like, I want you back, and like, back that ass up, and like, baby got back, and I was trying so hard to think of one other word with back. I can't. But those were definitely on them. And like all my guy friends who I was in love with, all of them were like, yeah, we'll come visit you. And I was like, oh my God, you know who I am. And my like big crush, whose name was Spencer, it was a hot name, I guess, he was going to summer camp this summer, but he was like, give me your address and I'll write you letters to see how you're doing. And I was just like, scoliosis is the best thing that ever happened to me. Back surgery is the best thing ever. Like, I wish I could get back surgery every summer. This is awesome. Like, I was so excited. So I have the actual surgery, and it was not that glamorous. Like, for one thing, I mean, it's a massive surgery. They cut you up from the side. They do remove a rib. They deflate my lungs and diaphragm, take it out, and put it all back in, and screw right. You know, it's like, it's a huge freaking surgery. And when I woke up, like, your center of gravity is totally thrown because your spine's been changed. And so it took me like a month to be able to walk without feeling like I was going to fall. And I'd have to like cling to my dad and like shuffle like this. And I didn't poop for a week and a half until a very ungentle nurse shoved an enema at me. So it wasn't that as great as I thought it would be, but it took a month. It was like a month of me being like this. I couldn't really walk. I had no balance, but I was like, I know under here is like a new hot body. I just need to like heal a little bit more. There's a giant scar in it, but that's okay. That'll go away. I'll tell people I got in a knife fight. And so finally, after about 4 weeks, I was able to like stand up straight. My shoulders had evened out, and I was like, all right, it's time to measure myself and like see what the new me is. So we had like measured me in my kitchen pantry like before the surgery so we could like measure me after. And I had gained a grand total of 1/4 of an inch. It's the difference between having sneakers on and not. Like, it was nothing. Like, wearing kitten heels is much more dramatic of a transformation than what had happened to my height. So I was just like, oh, well, fuck me. I'm still me. That summer was transformational for me, but not in a way that I could have known at the time. But because I was allowed to have a television in my room, because I was like bedridden, my parents like let me have a TV in my room finally. And I got obsessed with The Daily Show. And I would wake up every morning, like, that was, like, my excited reason to wake up. I was like, oh, I watched last night's The Daily Show. And really, so because of scoliosis, and also my developing a self-deprecating sense of humor because of scoliosis, is why I am standing here now. So I gotta say, thanks, scoliosis.